Egypt's impossible $15 billion desert river changes everything. Did you know Egypt is moving enough concrete and steel to build 50 Burj Khalifas to create the world's largest artificial river, stretching 114 kilometers through pure desert? But that's not even the strangest part. This man-made waterway processes 7.5 million cubic meters of wastewater daily, enough to fill 3,000 Olympic swimming pools every single day, making it visible from space as a green belt cutting through golden sand. But here's what engineers don't want you to know. They're essentially stealing water from one of humanity's most fertile regions, the original Nile Delta, risking catastrophic salinization that could destroy Egypt's food security forever. So how exactly are they pulling off the impossible by turning toxic waste into liquid gold? And what happens if this $15 billion gamble fails? If you're fascinated by engineering marvels like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We dive deep into the world's most incredible projects every week. This facility processes 86.8 cubic meters of water per second. That's enough treated water flowing every single hour to supply a city of 2 million people for an entire day. To put that in perspective, the plant treats more water daily than many entire countries consume. The facility holds 4 Guinness World Records, including the largest water treatment facility on Earth, the most extensive epoxy coating system ever installed, and the largest sludge treatment plant in history. The treatment process reads like science fiction made real. Contaminated drainage water enters massive settling ponds where solids separate through gravity and chemical precipitation. Advanced biological treatment systems use bacteria colonies to consume organic pollutants, while multi-stage filtration removes pesticides, herbicides, and industrial chemicals. Reverse osmosis units extract salt using pressure that could crush a car, while UV sterilization systems eliminate pathogens using light more intense than desert sun. The final product meets international irrigation standards, water cleaner than what flows from taps in many developed countries. Quality sensors test every parameter hundreds of times daily, with AI systems automatically adjusting treatment processes based on incoming water chemistry. But the real engineering marvel is the 114-kilometer artificial river system that carries this liquid treasure into the heart of the Sahara. 3 massive irrigation canals branch out like arterial highways, each 50 meters wide, with concrete banks engineered to prevent every drop of seepage and evaporation. The main canal alone required excavating 45 million cubic meters of rock and sand, enough to bury Manhattan under 15 feet of desert. Solar farms covering 2,000 hectares power the pumping stations, while wind turbines generate electricity for the treatment plant. Battery storage systems ensure continuous operation during the frequent sandstorms that can last for days when renewable sources fail completely. Backup diesel generators provide ultimate redundancy for critical systems, with fuel supplies maintained for 30 days of independent operation. Phase 1 targets 500,000 fedans of new farmland. That's 2,100 square kilometers of crops growing where only sand existed before, adding 30% more fertile land to Egypt overnight. Phase 2 will double that area, potentially feeding 20 million people from land that was barren desert just years ago. The scale of this project is mind-blowing, but wait until you hear about the massive investment behind it. Before we dive into those numbers, which feature impressed you the most? Let me know in the comments. The headline number is absolutely staggering. $15 billion total investment spread across 2 decades, making this more expensive than the entire GDP of 70 countries. To understand this scale, Egypt's entire annual government budget is only $35 billion, meaning this single project consumes nearly half of government resources for multiple years. The water treatment plant alone cost $522 million, more than most countries spend on infrastructure annually. The canal network required another $3.2 billion in excavation, concrete work, and specialized pumping equipment imported from Germany and Japan. Supporting infrastructure adds $4.8 billion for roads that can handle massive agricultural machinery, power transmission lines crossing hundreds of kilometers of desert, fiber optic networks enabling smart farming systems, and housing for the projected 500,000 workers needed to operate the expanded agricultural zone. Egypt's military-industrial complex finances much of the project through state-owned companies and special economic zones that operate outside normal formal government budgets. The Armed Forces Engineering Authority coordinates everything with military precision, ensuring security but limiting public transparency about true costs and timeline. International partnerships bring critical expertise and financing. Metito from the UAE provides water treatment technology, while European suppliers deliver specialized pumps and filtration systems. Chinese contractors handle major earth-moving operations using equipment specifically designed for desert conditions. But here's the economics that make this massive gamble potentially profitable. Egypt currently imports $4 billion worth of food annually, with costs rising 15% yearly due to global inflation and supply chain disruptions. If the new delta produces just half of those imports domestically, the project pays for itself within 15 years. Factor in job creation for 2 million workers, reduced import dependency that strengthens the currency, and new export potential to food-insecure neighbors, and economic projections show $45 billion in benefits over 30 years. The project achieved a crucial milestone in June 2023, when the water treatment plant reached full operational capacity in just 24 months, absolutely shattering construction records for projects of this complexity. Most comparable facilities require 5–7 years from groundbreaking to operation, but military-style project management and round-the-clock construction pushed through seemingly impossible deadlines. NASA's satellite imagery from November 2024 provides stunning proof of progress. Dramatic green expansion across areas that were pure desert in 2018. Time-lapse satellite data shows the desert literally blooming as water reaches previously barren land, with vegetation visible from space as bright green patches against golden sand. Arab contractors, Egypt's largest construction company, led a joint venture including Hassan Alam Holdings, Orascom Construction, an international partner, Metito. The coordination required 15,000 workers across dozens of simultaneous construction sites, more complex than the logistics of building multiple airports simultaneously. Materials had to be trucked across hundreds of kilometers of roadless desert, while work continued 24 hours daily to meet government deadlines that many considered impossible. The human cost was significant. Temperatures exceeding 50 degrees Celsius in summer, sandstorms that halted work for days, and isolation from family for months at a time. Worker camps resembled military bases, with everything from medical facilities to recreation centers needed to maintain such a massive workforce in the middle of nowhere. Currently, over 500 square kilometers of Phase 1 farmland is under active cultivation, with crops already growing in soil that hadn't seen water in 5,000 years. The site is surreal. Perfectly geometric green fields surrounded by endless sand dunes, like someone dropped pieces of Ireland into the Sahara Desert. The 120-kilometer water conveyance system is 90% complete, with final pumping stations being tested and calibrated. New highways connect the desert farms to processing facilities and export ports, while fiber optic cables enable precision agriculture systems that monitor individual plants. Quality control includes continuous monitoring of water chemistry, soil salinity levels, crop yields, and environmental impact. Early results show productivity levels matching traditional delta farmland, validating core engineering assumptions that critics said were impossible. Desert-adapted crops like dates and olives actually exceed expected yields, while traditional vegetables require more careful water management but still produce commercial quantities. The construction timeline runs through 2037, with major expansion phases scheduled every 3 years. Current progress suggests completion could happen 2 years ahead of schedule if political stability continues and funding flows remain consistent. The biggest risk isn't technical failure, it's environmental warfare on a massive scale. Critics warn that diverting 7% of Egypt's annual Nile allocation could accelerate salinization in the original delta, potentially destroying 5,000 years of accumulated fertile soil to create artificial desert farms that might fail within decades. Water wars are escalating throughout the Nile basin. Ethiopia's Grand Renaissance Dam already reduces Egypt's water supply by 10 to 15%, while upstream countries like Sudan, Uganda, and Kenya demand larger shares of river flow for their own development project. Every drop diverted to the new delta is water that supported delta communities for millennia, creating potential conflict between old farmers and new desert settlements. Financial transparency remains murky due to military involvement in project management. Opposition economists argue true costs will exceed $25 billion when including all supporting infrastructure, ongoing military oversight, opportunity costs of alternative investments, and the inevitable cost overruns that plague every mega project. Egypt's economy remains fragile, with external debt exceeding $165 billion, making megaproject failures potentially catastrophic for national finances. Technical challenges multiply exponentially in extreme desert conditions. Sand infiltration clogs even the most sophisticated pumps within months, requiring constant maintenance that's difficult in remote locations. Temperature variations from freezing winter nights to 55 degrees Celsius summer days stress equipment beyond design limits. One major system failure during critical planting season could destroy entire harvests and waste years of careful soil preparation. Social displacement affects traditional Bedouin communities whose ancestral migration routes now intersect with industrial agriculture operations. These nomadic tribes have survived in the desert for centuries, but find their traditional lifestyle incompatible with modern farming that requires permanent infrastructure and restricted access. Environmental groups raise serious questions about the sustainability of intensive agriculture in naturally arid regions, especially as climate change makes water increasingly precious across North Africa. They argue that using marginal lands for farming creates long-term ecological risks that could make the region uninhabitable if climate conditions worsen. The salt accumulation problem looms as the greatest long-term threat. Even with advanced treatment, irrigation water contains trace minerals that concentrate in soil over time. Desert farming inevitably creates salt buildup that can ruin agricultural land permanently if not managed with absolute precision. Even small miscalculations in water treatment chemistry could create vast agricultural wastelands instead of productive farms, turning the investment into an environmental disaster. The transformational potential is absolutely staggering if the project succeeds. Egypt could achieve genuine food security for the first time in decades, ending the constant threat of social unrest triggered by food shortages, while creating 2 million high-paying agricultural jobs in regions that were previously uninhabitable wasteland. New desert cities planned around agricultural hubs will house 3 million people, dramatically reducing Cairo's crushing overcrowding that makes it one of the world's most densely populated urban areas. These new communities will have modern infrastructure, clean air, and economic opportunities that don't exist in traditional Nile Valley settlements. Economic multiplier effects extend far beyond farming. Food processing industries, agricultural technology development, logistics networks, and export facilities will create additional millions of jobs throughout the supply chain. Fertilizer plants, seed production, agricultural machinery manufacturing, and cold storage facilities will transform Egypt's industrial base. Export potential could generate $8 billion annually in agricultural products within 15 years, fundamentally transforming Egypt from a chronic food importer into a regional agricultural powerhouse. Countries throughout the Middle East and Africa face similar water scarcity challenges, creating massive export markets for Egyptian produce grown using proven desert farming techniques. Environmental benefits are unexpected but potentially enormous. The project treats agricultural drainage water that was previously poisoning Mediterranean Sea ecosystems, removing tons of pesticides, fertilizers, and organic pollutants that killed marine life along Egypt's coast. Creating millions of acres of carbon-absorbing farmland could offset significant greenhouse gas emissions while producing oxygen in previously barren regions. Geopolitically, success positions Egypt as the undisputed leader in water recycling technology and desert agriculture, potentially creating new diplomatic leverage and economic partnerships. Countries across North Africa, the Middle East, and even Australia are watching closely, potentially licensing Egyptian innovations for their own desert development projects. The technological innovations required for success could spawn entirely new industries. Advanced water treatment, precision desert agriculture, renewable energy integration, and AI-controlled irrigation systems developed for the new delta could become major Egyptian exports, creating high-tech jobs and establishing the country as a leader in environmental technology. By 2030, the new delta should be producing enough food to feed 15 million people, with full agricultural potential realized by 2037, when Phase 2 expansion creates 4 million feddans of farmland, effectively doubling Egypt's total agricultural capacity, and fundamentally reshaping regional geopolitics around food security. If Egypt's artificial river succeeds while natural agricultural systems fail due to increased heat, drought, and soil degradation, it proves that that human engineering can overcome geographical constraints that have limited civilization for millennia. Success would fundamentally change how humanity thinks about habitability on Earth. With 2/3 of the planet classified as arid or semi-arid, the new Delta model could potentially unlock millions of square kilometers for human settlement and food production, supporting billions of additional people in regions currently considered uninhabitable. But failure carries equally profound implications. If $15 billion in cutting-edge technology can't defeat the desert, it demonstrates the absolute limits of human engineering against natural forces, potentially ending dreams of large-scale desert development worldwide. The next 5 years will determine whether Egypt becomes a model for desert civilizations or a cautionary tale about the hubris of fighting geography with money and technology. What's your take on this mega project? Do you think it's worth the $15 billion investment, or are the environmental risks too high? Could this technology work in other desert regions, or is Egypt's situation too unique? Share your thoughts below. I love hearing different perspectives from around the world. And don't forget to check out our video on Saudi Arabia's NEOM project right here for another incredible desert transformation that makes this look small. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.